Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the GoTrax Rival. This is a folding electric scooter that retails for under $300. For similar specs, if you're comparing it with the also popular Xiaomi M365 electric scooter that has the same distance as well as the same top speed, Xiaomi's version will cost around $100 to $200 more. So very promising value on paper, and it actually goes by a different name, the GoTrax GXL V2, but you can also find it under this Rival brand if you're buying it from Walmart. So recapping the specs, it has 8.5-inch tires, which are pneumatic. They're air-filled, although it doesn't have suspension system built on in because of the, again, relatively entry-level price for a electric scooter. And in terms of top speed, it gets up to 15.5 miles per hour, which is pretty much hitting the max that many places will allow legally for electric scooters. Distance can cover up to 12 miles. It supports up to 220 pounds for the carrying load, and it has a 250-watt motor on board, as well as cruise control, so you can long hold for a few seconds and it will just stay at the same traveling speed. There's also a bell on the front, just like the M365, although one difference compared to some more expensive electric scooters is it doesn't offer built-in Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, so there is no companion app that you're able to also monitor things like distance from your phone. And last but not least, the weight of the scooter is around 27 pounds. The scooter comes almost fully assembled, although you do need to attach the handlebar onto the pole, as well as the brake line. You also need to insert into the handlebar. So you see this little metal disc, you need to stick that in, and it just takes about a minute or so for attaching these two parts, and you're pretty much ready to go. So other accessories include the charging adapter, which uses a simple barrel plug, and one of the interesting things of the charger is there is an LED light built on in, and that tells you the status of charging. When this light turns green, it means the battery is fully charged. When it's red, it means it's currently charging, and there's no other charging status on the scooter itself, so it relies on this light. You'll also find an adapter here to inflate the tires if it's running out of air, as well as just a quick user guide. So in terms of unhooking and extending the scooter, the first thing you need to do is remove the safety lock, which is located on the side here. This lock just prevents the scooter from changing orientation, so if you're picking it up, it prevents it from accidentally unfolding itself open. So there we go, I've popped out the safety lock, and now we can just unfold it. And we can also unhook this leg here that will allow it to stand upright. So the process of unfolding it takes just a split second. Afterwards, you can re-pop in the safety lock if you want to prevent the scooter from folding down. But afterwards, if I wanted to fold it back down again, all you need to do is hold on the red lever switch. Here's a full profile view of the entire electric scooter. On the side pole here, that's also where the battery is located, and there is a small hook. So it's technically connected to the brakes, but you can also use this hook to attach something like a grocery bag or maybe a very light backpack. It's a comfortable size overall that you can stand on firmly and provides a good grip. And then finally on the rear tire here, we have another metal accent as part of the brake, but all other elements of the electric scooter is made predominantly out of metal, I'd say. Pretty good in terms of overall build quality. And then finally the top handlebars, they are having a soft touch rubber coating that feels overall pretty comfy as well. The braking system here, the lever, is also made out of metal. A couple of notable things here, we have the bell, as well as the cruise control that you can also use to press downwards to go faster and accelerate. So that's the speed control, basically. Display is hidden underneath this section, just like other electric scooters. So we can tap on the power key here for a few seconds, and that will turn on, and you're able to see things like the speed it's currently going in, as well as the rough battery percentage remaining out of the gauge here. The button down below here can also be pressed and held for 2 seconds to change between a few different modes. Like on mode setting 2, you can go to the max speed at up to 15.5 miles per hour. But if you're in the first setting, it will go to a max speed of around 10 miles an hour to go a little bit more slowly, and it will restrict the speed if you want to be more cautious. And finally, I can tap once, basically to turn on the torch And this is pretty bright and effective, so you can toggle it on or off depending on if you need to use this function. Underneath this flap, we also have the charging adapter just to prevent any rain or water from seeping through. Now, it's worth noting that to start the bike in terms of accelerating, you can't just directly twist on the cruise control and expect it to start to move. It is a kickstart electric scooter. So you need to first give it a kick off the ground, and after you travel to a speed of roughly 1 or 2 miles an hour, then when you press down on the accelerate, it will start to go forward. Overall, the scooter's design I think looks quite clean. Now again, in terms of the weight, I want to come back to for a moment. It is compact and it's easy to fold, pop into a trunk of a car, or just move and carry it around if you're going into an office, for example. But still, if you are someone that weighs a little bit less, again, 27 pounds can still feel like a bit as you are handling it. And as the first electric scooter that I've tested out, I was surprised at the speed as well as the specs on here, even though it's in lower end model. Again, getting up to 15.5 miles an hour, that really is the same speed that we saw on some entry-level e-bikes just a year or two ago. So the fact that this has the same amount of power as a e-bike, I think shows that, again, this thing can really be used as a commuting tool if you're trying to get across, let's say, a downtown area between a house and an office nearby, or if you're trying to go to the park, or as a campus type of scooter if you are in school. The only constraints will be the fact that compared to a bike, you'll be standing upright instead of sitting down. So in terms of the distance that you're traveling, although it can get you up to, let's say, 12 miles, after, say, 10 miles or so, you may feel a little bit of fatigue. So in terms of comfort, those are some things to keep in mind, since the tires on most e-bikes will be larger as well. However, e-bikes will definitely be even bigger and heavier when it comes to traveling. If you have to go with portability, that is one instance where, again, scooters like this can be really beneficial. Handlebar providing more stability versus hoverboards or versus a e-skateboard, for example. So anyways, let's take a closer look at the performance and a ride test. Alright, so some takeaways there. Overall, the riding experience is very good, especially if you're traveling on pavement. And also, if you're on relatively flat terrain, it will get you the full distance that it advertises, which is around, again, 12 miles. In terms of the braking system, we talked about how it's relatively good for a electric scooter, though it will take a few seconds to come to a complete stop if you are going downhill, for example, so still keep that in mind as a commuter tool. So just wear a helmet and take those safety precautions. And also, even though it's rainproof, of course, if there's too much water outside, you probably should still be careful, just because, again, tire sizes are a little bit small, just like any electric scooter. So if there's too much puddles on the ground, you may also lose control a bit more easily. So just those common precautions. Of course, in ideal situations where it's going to be relatively dry, relatively flat, and without too much dirt or gravel, this thing will definitely really shine as an alternative to something like a larger bike or even a car. And obviously, you would save a lot on the cost since you don't have to fill up the gas on here. It's also a lot more eco-friendly, of course. I do think it's an excellent alternative to other models, such as the extremely popular Xiaomi Mi 365, again, that has pretty much identical specs and power, as well as build quality as well, based on what I could compare, just at a lower price, since the GoTrax brand is also a little bit newer in this game as well. So anyways, you can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. Overall, a recommended entry-level electric scooter. That's been the GoTrax Rival / the GTX V2. Again, both are the same model. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.